everybody. Welcome everybody to another exciting and entertaining episode of the Writing Lair. Those of you who are already subscribed and have been watching, welcome back. I appreciate your support. For those of you who are just tuning in and this is new to you, this is the Writing Lair. My name is Brady Longmore. I'm an independently published author. I currently have 4 books in publication, and I am working on book number 5 and hope to be getting it out very shortly. Almost done with it. If you are into reading and writing and the paranormal, because that's what this channel is all about, I will talk about ghosts and UFOs and Bigfoot, and I like sharing true stories, digging up true stories and legends, and sharing them. And I also like to sprinkle in writing tips and discussions on writing and self-publishing and stuff like that. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, and we are possibly kindred spirits, so you belong here. You belong in the Writing Lair. So I invite you right now to subscribe and like the video, help out a struggling artist, and I promise you won't regret it. You won't regret subscribing, because every episode might not be educational, but I strive to make them entertaining, and I try to upload often. So with that being said, welcome to this week's episode of the Writing Lair, and let's go ahead and get the show on the road. So guys, disclaimer right off the bat, this is a story I'm going to share this week. I'm not going to talk a lot about writing tips and character development and that kind of stuff this time, because I promised that I would alternate around a little bit. So the last couple of videos were about writing and reading and self-publishing and stuff, and I appreciate the comments and the feedback I got on those. But today's episode I'm going to tell a true paranormal, kind of a haunting ghost story, scary, and I want to warn you all right now, it might be disturbing for some people, and so if you can't handle, if you're a little touchy or sensitive to certain topics and subjects, then this is your warning. The story is it's just kind of has a disturbing twist. And so I was debating if I would share this or not, but in the end I decided, heck, that's what this channel is all about. So here goes. I'm going to go ahead and tell this. It's pretty. The person who told me the story is, my dad. This story did influence a little bit of the writing, my first book, The Summoning, which was a horror, and I did channel this story a little bit when I wrote The Summoning, and I don't even remember if I did it consciously or subconsciously, but some of you might be able to pick up on in The Summoning where this story has similarities. So it takes place back in the 1980s. My parents were asked by the pastor of the church if they'd be willing to serve as kind of a activities chairperson, or like he wanted the adults in the congregation to be able to participate in little parties, picnics and softball games and little hikes or whatever, outside activities outside of church. So they agreed to do it, and they're on this. They formed a committee of fellow congregation members to come up with ideas, and they would have meetings at my parents' house. And there was this couple in the congregation. They were, this was the 80s. I wonder if nowadays, if they would be able to diagnose them as being, they would be able to diagnose them with autism or something or whatever, but they were socially awkward. Let's put it that way. They were socially awkward, and there was obviously some issues taking place mentally. To put it as mild and as PC as I can, but and because of that, I mean, people were nice to him, but people didn't know how to interact with them, and so they were kind of outsiders a little bit. People were nice to him, but it's not like you would invite them over to do stuff because you just didn't know how to interact with them, and they were really socially awkward, and so I'm sure everyone can understand. So my parents decided, hey, it might be good if we included them and asked them to be part of this activities committee. It might help them, might help everyone else get to know them a little better. It might help boosting their confidence level or whatever. So, they asked them to be a member of this activities committee, and so one night they had a meeting at my parents' house. And it was this couple. They had a little boy, just a young boy. And anyway, I guess according to my dad, they're just talking. This committee, they're just discussing, like what are we gonna do next week, or what's next month's activity, who's gonna bring the green Jello, that kind of stuff. So, anyway. The wife, this couple, out of the blue, she just kind of raises her hand, and my dad's like, oh yeah, you have something to say, and she just tells this story. It was completely out of context. It had nothing to do with what they were talking about, but she tells this story. She says, a while back we were renting a house. And she named this little town that's kind of on the outskirts. It's a smaller town, smaller community, and she said they're living in this house, and they were renting it, and they had a little baby, and one night they're putting the baby to bed, and the baby's room, he was in a crib, and they're putting the baby to bed one night, and on the second story. They was on a second story bedroom of this house, and I went and found a picture of the actual house, so you can see that there's no upper deck or trees or anything, but They put the baby to bed, and they both walked away to the door to leave. And as they turned around to turn off the light and close the door to put the baby, to leave, they turn around, and she said there was this awful, ghastly kind of face on the other side of the window, looking in at them and smiling, like this really hideous, grotesque grin. Just grinning back at him from the other side of the window. I mean, I can't imagine what goes through your mind is if you see something like this. They saw it for a few seconds, I guess. That my dad was foggy, and maybe she didn't give the details, but she just said there's this face, and they got really rattled and really scared, and they picked up the baby, I guess, maybe. I don't know what they did. I don't know what a normal, like what people would do. I imagine there was a little bit of panic and a little bit of looking around. Perhaps they went outside, checked outside, didn't see anything. Perhaps they decided it was their imagination, they didn't know what it was, but the face went away. And so they calmed down and probably rationalized to themselves that it was just their imagination, that nothing had happened that was crazy or anything, but they decided to go to bed. And so they went to bed, and nothing else happened that night or anything. And she says, she's telling this story here at this meeting, and she just says, Well, and we got up the next morning and went to check on our baby, and she was dead. And that's that was she just kind of gave this little smile, like, she was dead. And my dad says everyone was just, like, what the what did we just hear? What did, and you know at the time my dad just moved the meeting along, like, oh, how interesting. And anyway, back to the green jello. But guys, what do you think about that? To me, it's just completely disturbing, and I apologize if it was a little too much for you guys. It's just I've always carried that story with me. I've been hearing it my whole life. My dad has told that story many times. I've always just the idea of a face looking through a window at you, especially like a second story window, and then to, what in the world was going on in that house that night, or what did they see? It was obviously, like some kind of harbinger or some kind of omen or a warning. I don't know, but it's just a really creepy story, and the fact that it involves the passing of a baby is just makes it that much more disturbing and hideous. So anyway, kindly ask you guys if any of you are, some of you watching this might know this family, and you might recognize even the house. If that's the case, I just ask you to please, I left names and exact dates and addresses out of it on purpose to give people their privacy, and I just wanted to leave those kind of details vague. So I don't think, I seriously doubt anyone watching this is making the connections. But in case there are some Sherlocks out there, in case you did make a connection, please respect the privacy of anyone that you might know, or if you think you know who I'm talking about. I don't think you do. That was anyway. Moving along. I promised to share scary stories, so there you go. And there's more. There are more than that. A little update on what's going on with my life, my writing. I'm about 135,000 words into the current manuscript, so I'm moving along kind of slowly. It's nearing the end, or I'm reaching that point where I imagine I'm stacking dominoes, and I'm about ready to knock that domino over that causes the whole ending to happen. So I'm setting my pieces in place to make a nice, neat ending. I have been going a little slow. It is summertime. We're busy. The kids are demanding. Kids want to go swimming. Kids want to do stuff. And let me tell you, we've had a heck of a year so far. That hasn't been helpful. The fact that, so I'll just tell you the string of events that has happened to my family this year. Starting in April, my oldest son developed a hernia. He's 18 now. He was 17. He's in high school. He's like in deadlifting competition in the weight, doing weights. And I just pushed it a little too hard and got a hernia. So we had to go get him surgery. So we had hernia surgery, and then COVID hit us, as you all know from a few videos ago. And then COVID took me out for like a whole month. I went like a month without working on my writing. And then a few weeks ago, a month ago or so, my oldest daughter fell out of a truck, climbing up into a truck, and fell and twisted her knee and tore her ACL and her meniscus, and she had to have major, ACL surgery on her knee. And the day after her surgery, my wife stepped weird and twisted her knee and tore her meniscus, and she had to have surgery. And my second oldest son broke his finger in 4 places while he's water skiing with friends. And so it's been surgeries and doctor visits and therapy, and all this has just been going on. And so it's been a crazy spring and summer for us so far. And in the meantime, I'm trying to write the ending of this book and wanting to get it out. I would say I'm not making excuses, but God, I am making excuses. A lot's gone on. So anyway, I am working at it. It is, life happens, you know. So if you watch my last video, I said that's one of the bonuses to being self-published, independently published. I like that. Independently published. Is you are on your own schedule. You are your own boss. You make your own deadlines. So, back to this show. That's going to do it for today, guys. I didn't want to make it too long. Where am I at here? Let me check my time. Oh yeah, I'm doing real good on time. Just wanted to tell a quick scary story, give you a little update, and then the book of the week. This week, my recommendation the book is called Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. I found this book because when I was doing the Fifth Corner, when I was writing that trilogy, there's a lot of Vikings in it. You know, Vikings, and they talk about the gods, and there's a lot of that going on, and I wanted my Vikings to be old school Vikings, and so I felt like I needed some knowledge about Norse mythology. So I grabbed this book and read it, and it's actually pretty good. So if you've ever been interested in like Odin, Thor, Loki, not the Marvel superhero versions, but the real versions, the real mythology from the Viking legends and stories and the sagas and stuff. But it's really good. What Neil Gaiman does is he takes all these stories, Odin and Freya and Fenrir and Loki and all these gods and goddesses, and he takes all the stories and he's collected all the not all of them. It's a kind of an overview, and he puts them in kind of like in story form, so it follows the story of the gods, just kind of follows this almost like through a act 1, act 2, act 3. So it reads like a book. It reads like a story. It's not just this dry, rendition of all the stories of Norse mythology. It's written in story format with characters. Anyway, really well done. Great idea. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about where Thor's hammer came from, and what Ragnarok is really all about, and where Odin, how come Odin only has one eye, and he has these ravens, and anyway, it's a really good book. So that's my book recommendation of the week, Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. Really good book, really interesting. If you want to be entertained, but also learn a little something. I thought it was great. So anyway, 5 stars from me for Norse mythology. Okay, guys, that's gonna do it. Again, I invite you, if this is your first time here, please like and subscribe. Help me out. I promise to strive each and every week to make an educational and entertaining video for you all. But that's going to do it for this episode. So I hope you all had a fantastic 4th of July, Independence Day. I know we did. Happy birthday, America. And here's to a great year for our country. And with that, I will sign off, and I wish you all, until we meet again, until we're back till next episode, I wish you all happy reading.